Episode 10, Legend for the Podcast and New Book. Hello, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Samantha McCarthy, and I'm the innovator of the Global Green Democracy Initiative. You may or may not have seen my videos floating on the internet, but it is a system that the whole world needs today. This system is an environmental, social, and financial model that reverses our current system and redirects the money the 1% are stealing from us and invests it into humanity and our world. I'm also the innovator of 7 Gens and the face and voice of the YouTube channel at Sammy71Earth that was developed so that I can go through this entire textbook, the Global Green Democracy Initiative, and all the different programs and projects, debunk misinformation, and answer questions about the system. I would like to introduce myself. I live in a small city called Thunder Bay in northwestern Ontario, Canada. I am a wife of over 30 years to my life partner and a mother of 2 grown adults. And I have been concerned about the environment as well as the health and social outcomes for future generations for most of my life. Please watch the videos in order as I have set up the textbook and videos in a way that will make it easier for the readers and watchers to be able to understand. You can't skip or miss videos or chapters because each element is relevant to the entire system and each element is linked to the next. So if you miss some, you miss a big part of how it works. But also that the GGDI has the goal to heal humanity and move our world to sustainability, so the whole system is a means to an end. I need to give you a little history about me. About 9 years ago now, I was meditating on my deck and I had this reverse financial system downloaded into my mind. I have been working for 9 years on how to bring this system forward to the world, and I am now at the launching phase. It was funny that when I started, there was no way the world was ready for the philosophy. But 9 years later, and how the 1% are attempting to destroy our world and plunge us into ecological, economic, and global collapse, that I think the 99% of us are ready for change. We are now seeing the corruption of the 1% and how very little they don't care about us or the world or future generations for that matter. This kind of thinking has to be rejected by the masses because it is not sustainable or humane. My system is huge, complex, and intertwined. There is a lot of information, but the world is a big place, and only big changes will bring about enough positive global changes to heal what the 1% has committed and continue to commit against our shared earth. It is so crazy that in the year 2025, we are watching the 1% try to force the largest democratic democracy with the largest military to its knees and rebuild it in an autocratic dictatorship, thereby changing global alliances. They have passed legislation that has reduced women and girls' lives to less than clumps of cells, letting them die instead of giving them a simple procedure to prevent disability, infertility, and death, much less taking their God-given rights of choice away. It is time to take our power back, time to value all lives, and time to build a world where we and our children can be proud of. I tried to put this 7 or 8D model that I had in my mind into a teachable tool, starting with my Bristol boards on my blackboard to the hanging string model in my craft room. I then hired Kirsten Mosley from For Users' Sake to help me design my download into a computer model. This took a few years to finally get all the parts into the program, which she had to research far and wide because she was not sure there was even a program that could do my system that I was asking her to build. Once the computer model was built, I was able to do my first 3D prototype of it, to later build the one that I'm currently having used in my demonstrations. It was at that point that I finally came to the conclusion that I knew from the beginning that I had to actually write a textbook or instruction manual on how to save our world. My next stage was coming to terms that I had to learn a whole new set of skills through training, how to work a computer. I am from the generation of the Encyclopedia Britannica and libraries as your only source of information access. Anyways, my computer skills were horrible. So for example, when I would go to download an app and it would ask if I was sure, I would always click no. So to say that my skills were poor was to say the least. Don't get me wrong, I knew the hospital charting, but that does not transfer into podcast skills. I took a podcast course from It's Modern Millie, her BSP course, or Build, Scale, and Profit, content creator. I had all my components, but where do I go from here? The course helped me to become more comfortable with everything and how to set up my social media presence and why. I couldn't have done it without some form of training. I have also taken courses with Nadine Kelly since to help me better understand posting and on different social media platforms. It reinforced what I had learned from the BSP course as well. So these ladies and their knowledge have helped me to get to this stage. And for them, I am thankful, because let me tell you that putting yourself out there with a product that no one knows and will have to work to understand is not something that I had any understanding of. Kirsten had connected me with Nadine, and in the beginning videos, she was the one interviewing me and doing all the editing. I had been out of the typical work field for over 3 years to get this system to where it is, and I was still perplexed on how to get this system out without depending on someone to do all my editing and help me with recording, setting up, and over time this would have caused me more financial hardship. So when Nadine told me I could learn to do it myself, I had told her that I had already been trying the programs in its Modern Millie course, and she directed me to a program called Descript for all my editing. And it is amazing. For someone as computer illiterate and afraid as I am, it sure made my life better, easier, and cut my editing time down. But it is still a long process. In the It's Modern Millie program, it was recommended that for posting for multiple accounts, since I have 4 social media presence and I'm posting to 6 separate sites, so we're looking at 24 individual social media settings, which would take me forever to do all that posting individually. So it was recommended that for posting for multiple accounts to access Metricool. And that is the one that I use, and I love the product. It took a bit to get comfortable with, but it also had to do with where everything is recorded, how to use Canva, how to download and use the AI and do the edits myself, how to make shorts, long-form videos, thumbnails. Look at me saying things a year ago I knew nothing about. Anyways, to say that this has almost made my mind mush, but I can safely say now that I can do it myself. It was a lot of work, but well worth it. So when I say that I am still learning while I am teaching, is an understatement, and it is only me doing all of the work, so it takes lots of time. Now that my website is almost ready, I will also have an online store to purchase the ebook at a discounted price that I couldn't offer any other place. It will also have other knickknacks like stickers and hopefully some sports clothes, but I am definitely not there yet. I will keep you posted on that and the time frame. And while I am doing this, I have also started the other volumes that are related to the icons, which will be other ebooks available as soon as I can draft them up. This will be the deepest dive into the actual attachments within the program. So I'm still building the tools, but I don't think the world has any more time for me to get everything completed before I launch. Through the sales of my ebooks and textbooks, it will enable me to hire people to help me reach my goal faster, and this will give us hope for all. So I'm reaching out now to let you all enter my brain and see the hope I see. And I can't do this by myself. I need people to like, follow, comment, and subscribe and spread the word that there is an alternative to our current nightmare. I have also come to the conclusion that this site cannot only be about learning, but I will need to bring you into my life so that you can see that the system has no ill intentions to it. It is to make our system accountable to everyone, even those not born yet. That we understand that we have lost sight of community and connection to our Mother Earth, and that because of this, we have lost part of our humanity. And it will only be when we realize we need each other healthy and happy to build the best world for all that we will finally make the uncomfortable decision to make a change to fix the mess our world is in and base our new world on fairness, equality, and equity, strengthening democracies and human rights. I'm going to be recording parts of my life with my husband, my dog, and our lives. I will be recording things that are relevant to us as a global community, from the bees in my pollinator garden to our walks and hikes and what we see on them. Small videos on recent news that will be impacted by my system, meaning identifying what the problem is and how the GGDI will fix it and be the solution. I'm working on learning more about email marketing, Reddit, and Substack. Who would have thought I would be doing all these things even a year ago? But the time for sharing knowledge is now, before our world is pushed beyond its brink. Please be patient. I am trying my best. And now that I have a bit of a rhythm with the videos and I'm trying to get ahead of myself for posting, I will soon be able to work on the others so that there is still much to come. I have done pre-taping, but the world order is changing so quickly that when I do the final edits on those episodes, I will also be adding updates to the news around that date. Also, I will be altering the launch based on things that I realize, or if there is a better way of teaching it, I will be flexible to make it easier for the reader and the watcher of the videos. Like this episode, for example. I did not have the icon scale or legend yet, but now that I do, I wrote and filmed this episode before the 6th episode I was going to launch. So this may not be a completely smooth process, but the more I dig into the system and also get trickles of downloads that help me better understand how to share with you. For example, we were at one of my best best girlfriend's father's celebration of life. It was in a small hamlet on Lake Superior, so I went to the lakefront and meditated for a while. I received a download that brought me to these icons and how to set up the volumes for ease of learning. So even though I have brought the system forward, it is not a solid, unmovable system. It is a system that is malleable and always changing to ensure that the best interest of all is always in focus. So welcome to this wild and crazy new world I'm about to introduce to you. I hope you remember to have an open mind while I am bringing forward this new world philosophy to be then put into life. As I am launching my textbook, The Global Green Democracy Initiative, I am also working on how to ensure it is easier to understand and to put in icons that will enable readers and watchers of the videos to be able to recognize or understand what I am speaking about. When seeing these icons and watching the videos, remember that the goal is global healing and collaboration. So when I speak of one area, it will also impact several other areas. I realize that setting up the next set of volumes will be based on relationships through the icons, which have categories such as non-negotiables like human and women's rights, equality for all. There's the brains of the system. There's the financing and banking, which means money we will make in the system, or what programs will bring in money to add to our success, or any microsystems, which is systems that bring in extra money into the system. But this will all be described later for easier understanding. There's environmental investments into education and training so that every learner has success. Environmental cleanup, clean water initiatives, partnerships across the system, investments into physical health, social, mental, and spiritual health, fair and safe housing and neighborhoods, a chemical-free, healthy, and affordable food chain, traditional medicines and sweat lodges, animal protection, historical updating and promotion of true history, and even if it makes people uncomfortable about it. Each of these categories is the groundwork or base for grouping our programs so that you can see how they are all intertwined and connected. For me, it is hard to figure out the best way to let you enter my mind, since when I got the download, it is all just like watching a sphere spinning, and all the understanding is there and how it works and how each and every project is a means to an end to heal humanity and move our world to sustainability. If we as a species think it is a simple one-fix solution to get our world out of this mess, we are sadly mistaken, and it will only take massive collaboration of programming, but also countries, since we are all in this mess of an unsustainable world. The time to fix our problem that the 1% has put us in is now, before it's too late. I will briefly go through the icons as they are new and will all be in the programming, since they will now accompany the programs in the system. This way, the reader and watcher will easily be able to identify which areas are connected or what the project program benefits the system and our world. The original videos do not have these icons, as I was still designing how to show the relationships between the programs without being too wordy. So I will describe them so that when you see them, you will already know what they benefit. I also want to disclose that I look at the system as being an open system, meaning that it is a living document. It is not finite and it is malleable. If we find something new, better, safer, cleaner, etc., we will adapt the system regardless of cost, but do it in a way that we don't do things stupidly or greedily, say like the cellular phones that change their plug-in or other things, so that the consumer has to buy more, causing more cost to the consumer and waste in our landfills. If our technology changes, we will do our best to make them interchangeable so that we don't make more waste or cost consumers more. The days of greed at all costs is over. We need to build in to last and be cost efficient. The consumer-driven world is causing us to use more natural resources than our earth can sustain long-term and short-term. The global destruction for ego and greed can no longer drive our economies. In some ways, it is better. We can build our new system that promotes equality and a shorter work week so that we the people live our best lives. This rat race that the 1% have designed is only good for them. The rest of us are puppets on a string. But in order to heal our world, the world has to be fair for all, not for a few. Also, it won't be until all the experts are sitting at the table that we will see what it will look like and how we will get to the sustainable world we all deserve. So every area will be expanded on and built onto. The 1% know they have to change, but they are so drunk on power and control that they are destroying themselves. We are watching this destruction play out in real time in the United States. rights, which is being destroyed by ego and an insatiable greed. The followers of the current occupant of the White House don't care about fairness, equality, bodily autonomy for all, and don't care about ensuring they are informed by many different views to come up with a narrative. They stick to the media that promotes their hate, misogyny, and inequality, lies, and propaganda. They have fought families, spouses, children, extended families, work, people on the streets, and they don't care about other people's human rights, but scream about theirs and their rights. The followers stick to entertainment media that feeds their hate, discrimination, and can't see the hypocrisy in their bullying. All people are equal. And your rights extend to the next person, no matter what you think. So to this lady on the video I saw, and I think it might have been on Threads anyways, who said perfectly to a Megat who stopped his truck to yell profanities and racial slurs at her. She said, "Sir, my rights are more important than your feelings." And I thought, wow, that is exactly the words I've been looking for. Human rights are more important than your feelings. It's so simple. So I will now go into the first icon that you will see on every map or program. Number 1, non-negotiables, human rights, equality for all. When you see this icon, it represents that equality for all is non-negotiable throughout the entire system, meaning that women and girls, the LGBTQ2S people, minorities, and human rights are non-negotiable. It is the year 2025 and all people need to be recognized as equals regardless of sex, nationality, color of their skin, or who they love. It is no longer an option to discriminate against people for these reasons, even if the current occupant of the White House is trying to dismantle their society and remove women, girls, minorities, and the LGBTQ2S people and legalize the abuse of said people, like the good old 1700s. But this form of control and hate no longer has a spot in our new world. This hate is exactly why our world is in this war-mongering thinking. It is the inequities that cause hate, strife, and conflict. It is the same mentality that has consistently destroyed communities, states, countries, and our world. It destroys families, friends, animals, and ecosystems. Once you devalue any life, the 1% can devalue any life, and the 1% also like to foster hate and division so that they can maintain this power structure and pit the 99% against itself so that we, the 99%, can't see that it is them, the 1%, who are the problem with the world. They make decisions not to the collective, but for themselves and their families to maintain their gross wealth. But it is time now to call them out and let them know that all lives matter and all lives have value, regardless of where they are in their trauma, that we can build a system of safety nets so that we can meet every person where they are and have programming to support them when they are ready to heal from their wounds. As a woman born and raised in Canada and living the life of privilege, especially being a white woman, I have had the world by the tail since I was born. I have lived a life of very little resistance. My parents worked hard and gave us every opportunity in life. I graduated nursing with no debt and married my partner to start my new life and family. I see how the world treats our minority communities and don't understand how my fellow white people can treat the rest of the world that does not look like them as less than. But it is now time to see all people, everyone, as equals. What we don't realize is that if we devalue one demographic, it is permission to devalue another and keep devaluing anyone that rubs you wrong. And thus, this is where the world is now. We are watching Israel and Netanyahu and the IDF commit war crimes, genocide, and blatant murder. Like this suffering is okay because it is being committed by Israel, but the Palestinian people have just as much right to live life, liberty, and freedom as Israel. I understand October 7th was a horrible day, but starving people is not right or acceptable. It is murder and must be stopped. The history between these two nations cannot be erased. Israel has not committed to the land agreements and taking over Palestinian lands, homes, and militarizing their people after the 1967 agreement, and that is also part of why October 7th happened. I'm not condoning it. I'm not supporting it. I do not support or believe in war or torture or land stealing. Coming from Canada and living through our government not informing us of the attempted genocide of our First Nation people has shown me how very destructive this is for generations to come. Working with First Nation communities and seeing the ongoing generational trauma has opened my eyes to how we are watching this happen again in real time in 2025. On our phones and laptops it's like we're watching a horror movie because we have become so desensitized of this through all of our different medias, video games, movies, TV shows, pictures. But it is really going on and has to stop. No matter how many Palestinian people the IDF and Netanyahu murder, it will never take away the pain of the past when the Jewish people experienced the same hate and murder. The Jewish people are now, instead of committing to never again, are now the perpetrators of the same hate onto another nation, calling them inhumane names to further dehumanize them. The current occupant of the White House posted about using the Gaza Strip as Trump Plaza and a vacation spot, and his son-in-law spoke of annexing the Gaza Strip and building waterfront condos for profit because it's the best beachfront real estate. The world has already lived this hate and disgusting form of capitalism. And in order to save our world, we actually have to change to a system that values all lives. It is time to set up a world where all lives matter, all sexes matter, and build a system that values all lives, not just a few. When I received this download, it was completely clear that this line of thinking would not be tolerated, and it is the only way that we can move our world to a better, sustainable world. We will only do this by building an equal world and treating everyone with respect. We are seeing the 1% spread hate far and wide to try so hard to take over our world. They have taken over media and are scrambling to maintain this chokehold on us. But this matrix is no longer what we, the 99%, want or accept. But it will only be through hard work will we reach this goal of global peace, and we are only now understanding how hard it will be. But living in this dystopian world is no longer an option. We, our children, and future generations deserve better. You see this icon in all of the GGDI and 7Gen's programming because equality and equity is one of the cornerstones of the system to save our world and all living life forms on Earth. This equality also stands for the animals and mammals in our world because once one life form is devalued, any life form is at risk. So that is why this is the number one icon. Our whole system is built with this being one part of the foundation. Equality also means access to services that heal the traumas we experience on this Earth journey. Number two, this is the brains of the system. This is the central part of the system. It holds the environmental research, development, green energy development, and financing, medical research, such as autoimmune to bring affordable and free treatments for people. We will rebuild the system with an earth healing, energy connecting system that heals people in the most humane way. This system will also build our system so that the employee is valued and supported. A system where people can easily train and try another career. We will join together First Nation traditional healing to our healthcare system and monitor it so it's safe. Equality and equity will be the center of the system, and I don't care who gets upset about it. And I will respond to you that women make up 50% of the world, and this is what diversity looks like. That the days of only white men getting the bulk of the jobs and the rest get small scraps left over for women and minorities are over. I find it highly offensive to hear these men crying about how unfair it is and why they have to fight to keep their spot. My response is the 1% are lying to you. There is enough jobs for everyone if they actually gave a shit about us in our world. You want good paying jobs with pensions and benefits? The GGDI is your system. You want a shorter work week and same pay, so getting a pay raise while having to work fewer hours? The GGDI is for you. If you want investments into more advanced and future education systems so that we can actually move to a sustainable world, then the GGDI is the system for you. If you want union representation so your rights will be protected and you have a voice in your workplace, then the GGDI system is for you. If you want your water, land, air, food, and clothes to stop poisoning you, then the GGDI system is for you. If you want to be able to afford a home and have safe neighborhoods, the GGDI system is for you. If you want solutions for homelessness, addictions, human rights violations, move a developing country to a developed nation. If you want world peace, the GGDI system is for you. If you want to stop us from dying from preventable diseases or suffer from autoimmune diseases from all the toxins in our world, if you want to prevent microplastics and forever chemicals from slowly killing us, if you want to save our wildlife and protect every living life form, then the GGDI system is for you. I don't care what your faith is, who you love, whether you're rich or poor or somewhere in between. I don't care your gender or how you identify. I don't care where you come from, the color of your skin, the language you speak, but I do wish I spoke every language because there's just so much that we could share with one another. But what I am saying is that hate is going to kill us. I don't want it to be in the system. It is not compatible. We build the best system based on what is out there around the world, add other things that will make our lives better, and put it in so that all benefit, not just a few. The brains of the system is that equality and equity and peace are non-negotiable. What is going on in this world is not sustainable for the short or long term. And the 1% have drawn the line, and they are absorbing everything through pain, fear, and control. This is not a system for we the people, the 99%. Why will my system work? That instead of those billions and trillions that they are stealing from us, we're going to build a dream system for we the people. We're going to build a system that works with AI and benefits our lives without punishing us, which we are currently seeing. The current occupant of the White House, Putin, Xi, Israel, Iran, are all posturing to steal other countries' lands by supporting each other is absolutely unacceptable. It is so hypocritical that Americans support securing their border but have no issues erasing the Canadian border and then telling Canadians you don't have a vote and we will steal your water and precious resources. Now, the current occupant is meeting Putin in Alaska, and in his news conference, he called Alaska Russia a couple times. Imagine a U.S. president doing that before, but it seems that we have a mole in the house. This should frighten even his staunch supporters. You're being given to Putin on a platter, served up for some strange reason. The absolute arrogance and hatred being spread is unbelievable. So know that the GGDI will not work with the current administration of the US, Russia, Israel, Iran, China, etc. Their kind of governance violates the core principles of the GGDI 7 Gens and at Sammy 71 Earth. And I never thought that I would say that, but yes, the system will not work with the current U.S., which I am just waiting for the economic hammer to hit. And I don't think the American people understand the damage the current occupant of the White House and the administration is doing to your country. I don't think you realize that all these new trade agreements Canada and the other free world are making don't include you. The world has moved on at a rate no one could have ever predicted. And we, the people, are demanding more from our government. We don't want our government to fund genocide, and we will suffer some economic hardship and also the discomfort that change brings to build a better and stronger country and economy, and always promote human rights around the world and at home. I don't think that Americans understand that it will take generations for the world to look on your country in a good light. There are a few reasons that we believe this damage will take generations to heal, besides the absolute arrogance, ignorance, hatred, racism, bullying, bribing, and thinking that it's okay to go to war with Canada, because that is really what your president is asking. No different than if Canada and Mexico decide that those drawn lines no longer were relevant and threatening to bring our militaries onto your sovereign lands. Do you understand what I'm saying? Absolutely unforgivable it is for you to even breathe that thought. But even before this last election, the world could not understand how he got in the first time. It took the election of President Joe Biden at that very important time in history to bring America back up to a respectable level again. But also, we watch the current occupant of the White House posts, his rallies, and his ability to glorify hate against anyone who is not white, calling countries shithole countries, immigrants, rapists, criminals, and murderers. Degrading anyone who is not white and rich was deplorable. But still you chose who I like to call the former, but now the current occupant of the White House, and ignored all the hateful rhetoric and propaganda, and ignored his Project 2025 agenda. What has occurred over the last 7 months with the new administration has put the nail in the coffin for America's reputation around the world. And he is now just winding up to start the military takeover of America. Today, he brought in the National Guard into D.C., saying other democratic cities are next. The false life or narrative that is projected in your country and around the world is the so-called American dream, while you have now announced that birth control will be outlawed. And today, the Supreme Court is now looking to overturn same-sex marriage or marriage equality. Knowing your Supreme Court is compromised and has proved that they are being financially and vacationally being rewarded. They're flying controversial flags and not recusing themselves for cases that they should shows exactly how much of a myth your democracy is. If one man, backed by a corrupt Supreme Court and the rich, can take over and destroy an entire country in such a short time. So far, your lower courts have held, but the failure has been the highest court of the land, which in itself is criminal. Americans acting very religious but cheering when women's rights are taken away, when young women are dying because these same so-called religious men are torturing women. punishing women and girls and doctors by criminalizing women's health care while not putting any responsibility on the men who are responsible for making these pregnancies. Making a woman an incubator goes against the family and the fetus's rights. Letting women bleed out, go septic, and suffer infertility and death is not a country I would ever model, nor would I want to live in a country where my daughter has fewer rights than an animal. Your government is bought and paid for by the rich, and they are okay to set out a picture of how to keep total control by controlling algorithms and posts. But since people are starting to demand change, and this is where the fight is happening, we have to change or we will all perish. Also, life in our lives should not be this hard or uncomfortable. Americans are in big trouble right now and are sleeping at the wheel. Electing someone so full of ego, greed, and hate is exactly what you get. You know the saying, you get what you got? Well, we all warned you, and now the nightmare is just starting. And it is time to wake up and fight for your country. Otherwise, it will be too late and there will be no take back. Americans also have to realize that the world has moved on and it does not include them. The man and the administration that the Republicans have put in place to represent you have offended the entire world. They are threatening, bribing, bullying, and thinking that they are the rulers of the world, but the rest of the free world have built a world not including the U.S., and this will hurt the country for generations to come. So there is a non-negotiables for the system, and that is built into the brains of the system, and we will stand by our mission and promises.